here's Brody Brazil.
First off, I want to say a huge thanks to all of you who submitted great questions on Twitter and Instagram. As I tape this, it's Friday, August 14th. Oakland's about to go into San Francisco and open up a 3-game series, the Battle of the Bay, Part 1 here for 2020. One question that didn't get asked because it didn't come out by then was the reduced suspension for Ramon Laureano from 6 games down to 4. My instant reaction is this: great. It's kind of like icing on the cake. To be perfectly clear, anywhere between 3 and 12 games was the suspension amount that I was expecting for Ramon. I would have been surprised anywhere less than 3 and over a dozen. Turns out 4, barely in that understandable range, in a good way. So I'm very happy that it turned out that way for Ramon. He did do something that is regrettable in these times, but is also understandable because of the circumstances and the situation, and it's just nice to see Major League Baseball kind of going along with at least the understanding. All right, so let's get to the questions. First from Twitter, Joe Morgan asking, or saying, I should put it this way, really like Tony Kemp. Great clubhouse guy, loves the game, terror on the base paths. I would agree. And I would also say that for a lot of good reasons, the A's didn't need to have much turnover from 2019 to 2020. A great team was very much already in place, and it's a rare opportunity in professional sports these days when you don't have to add a lot of pieces because you do really like your team from one year to the next. That being said, I would have to look at Tony Kemp as frontrunner, if not the guy who is the best offseason addition here in 2020. And it's not just his on-base percentage, which at last check was almost .430. And it's not just the fact that he's also played a solid defensive second base when he's in there. But you just notice his energy, his chemistry with other teammates. When he's on first base taking a lead, how he's distracting and trying to get in the pitcher's head. He's just doing every little thing possible. And it's players like Tony Kemp, for me, here in 2020, that can take an already good A's team and kind of plant it in the back of your mind that they might be a great team with a bunch of guys like Tony Kemp. All right, next question from A's for Days, the Twitter handle Seal the Real Deal. Trading for another arm in the rotation wouldn't be bad in my opinion. So who do you think would fit in with the A's rotation? And look, let's be very clear on this. I understand what you've seen recently, some outstanding performances by starters, mixed in with a few others that just didn't go well or did not go as planned. And by the way, as I also record this, Frankie Montas is supposed to be pitching tonight. He has just been scratched from his start with upper back problems, soreness. So as of right now, not going on the injured list. Now, this would change everything, right? You have a rotation. If healthy, I think you don't need a lot of changes for a couple different reasons. Number one, small sample size already, very abnormal season. And I understand the sentiment that, well, a couple of guys specifically have struggled. And I would agree, uncharacteristically so. They have struggled. But I just feel like in 2020, with the way the trade deadline shakes out, with the way any type of transaction works, right? Importing a player from another group into your team's bubble, and that process, as well as thoughts of chemistry and not having a lot of time to spare, really, if things don't go perfectly. I just think this is it's an extremely risky trade deadline, by the way, on August 31st, about 2 weeks away from right now, a little bit more than that. But I don't see a lot of teams making moves unless it's absolutely critical, unless it's basically imperative. To me, there's no necessary trade this season for any team unless it's absolutely essential. Like a no-brainer could not have not done it. I just think there's too many other things going on in this shortened season. Unless it's an absolute must-do trade, I don't see teams tinkering just to do it. So to the point with the A's in the rotation, Remember, in a playoff situation, you're probably rolling with 3, maybe 4 guys, but probably more 3 as a rotation in the first place, your best 3. I think the A's have some great options. And I also, again, want to buy a little bit more time, 4 or 5 times through the rotation before we really figure out what exactly is going on and any small changes. There are options. There are starting options for the A's internally. So I don't think they need to seek outside help. Next question from Instagram @roof.dylan. What's one thing you're excited to see this season that you haven't seen yet? My response to this one is the first Chris Davis outburst of homers. Now, I understand he's not even an everyday designated hitter at this point. So to get the outburst, you need to be in the lineup first every day. And to be in the lineup first every day, what he really needs to do right now is continue the trajectory he's currently on, which I understand is even difficult for a lot of people to grasp that. But what you're seeing for him in at-bats lately are ones that produce less strikeout, louder contact, and opposite field contact and direction. When you start to see those things, whether the hits come through or not, whether the homers come through or not, you know that timing, rhythm, confidence are all on the way. And make no mistake about it, this is the hard part with a group like the A's and a shortened season like 2020. There are so many options, and time is of the essence, so Oakland needs to put in a DH who is going to be feeling it that night. But make no mistake about it, when Chris Davis starts to come back around to the, prototypical, and I don't want to put this pressure on him, but 40 home run hitter in a regular season, and even if the average is floating around 250, which it had been for him for many years, when that KD starts to come back on a regular basis, his name will be penciled in there absolutely on a regular basis. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm also confident that you'll see that here in 2020 still. Next question from Ronald Datz on Instagram. What overall record would you say the A's finish with? Now, perspective is important here because when I say 36 wins in 2020, that doesn't sound like a lot, right? 36 wins in 60 games. But 36 wins here in 2020 is the equivalent of the 97-win season the A's have had each of the last 2 years. Pretty impressive. But I'm actually going to go a step further. I think that if they can maintain a significant hold on the division like they kind of have right now, if they can even expand on that by the beginning of September, I really do think there might be a couple extra wins for the taking in September. You might be able to get those against teams that have kind of already sunk, if you will. I'm not saying anybody's handing over any wins in Major League Baseball, in any circumstance, in any situation. I'm just saying that there might be some teams and groups that are searching for answers more than they have answers, and that the A's can capitalize on that. So, to answer this question in a roundabout way, 38 wins would not surprise me here in 2020. Next question on Instagram from Eric_O. If we win it all, will there be an asterisk? I always mess up when I say that word. Asterisk or no? If we win it all, will there be an asterisk or no? But I still don't think I said it right. Anyway, you know what I mean. My opinion is this: whoever wins in 2020 the World Series, 10 years down the road, it's ultimately going to be looked back upon differently. We know what's going on in the world right now. We know it's difficult. We know it's different. But different doesn't have to translate into less impressive. It's a short season. And yes, 16 different clubs are going to qualify for the playoffs. That's kind of nuts when you think about it. Like more than half of Major League Baseball teams are going to be in the postseason. But just kind of knowing the additional toll this season is taking on players physically, mentally, the weight of playing through a pandemic, I feel, is so much different and so much greater than any other season before that I absolutely don't think any big league player right now would consider winning this World Series in 2020 any less of an accomplishment now or 5 or 10 or 20 years down the road. All right, next question here on Instagram from @Brooke_Mulkin. What do you think is the Athletics' strongest aspect of their team? Now, I've been feeling this and saying this. I didn't say it on television first. Glenn Kuiper, Ray Fosse, Dallas Braden, all during our pregame show the other day dropped this. I was like, man, that's exactly what I was tweeting, like 24 hours prior, but it's depth. And a lot of people could say, well, going into this season, is it their rotation? Is it their team defense? You got a platinum glover, a gold glover, you got an MVP candidate as your shortstop. Ramon Laureano could be a gold glover someday. Robbie Grossman was a gold glove candidate last season. Is it defense? Is it, the bullpen has been phenomenal this year. But something that encompasses a little bit of everything is depth. Because how often do you have a team like the A's where you lose a starter or two? No problem. They've got that taken care of. You lose your center fielder to a 4-game suspension. No problem. We've got that taken care of. You need a pinch hitter for the 10th inning with a runner on second base. No problem. Got the perfect left-handed bat. It's the fact that the A's have somebody for every opportunity, and even beyond and behind that, they also have somebody else that's very capable for that role as well, too. And again, that's one of those things I keep going back to. That's the difference between a good A's team that we're seeing and that you absolutely know exists to one that could possibly be great this season, a great A's team. Like, this is one of the most impressively built A's teams on paper. Now what they have to do is go out and prove that on the field. All right. Last question here from Instagram from Martin M_2019. What's the chance Ole gets a splash hit this weekend? Matt Olson at Oracle Park, SBC Park, AT&T Park? I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, he's been homering every couple games. He's on this pace of every third game. He leaves the yard. He's hitting him with the mustache. Now he doesn't have the mustache. That didn't seem to matter. But the Giants are going to throw 3 right-handed starters in a row. And the Giants have also let up a homer, I want to say, in like 15 or 16 consecutive games. That's bonkers. So I'm going to say that with Olson's launch angles and the way he's been pulling to right field, especially this year, chances are high. They definitely are. But even further than that, from a team perspective this weekend, the A's not only have to go out and win this series, they have to win every single game they can. On paper, they're favored. But again, we can keep going back to this. You have to answer it on the field. You can't just rely on what the paper says. Thanks for all your questions. And you know what? We'll do this again sometime soon.